The world ended, and I was alone. Then I heard something outside wearing my voice. You learn to love the screaming. Out here, in the rot, the screaming means they're busy. It's the quiet that gets you. The quiet is when they're listening. And it's been quiet for hours. I slammed the door of this shack so hard a gout of rust and dust fell from the hinges. My pack hit the floor with a dull thud. The iron bar I'd pulled from the old smithy's forge was slick in my hand, not with rain, but with something else. The sky was the color of a day-old bruise, purple, yellow, sick. Light was dying. My hands shook as I poured the salt. A thin white line across the threshold. A prayer I didn't believe in anymore fell from my lips, the words dead and hollow in the air. I used the ash from my pouch, still smelling faintly of bone, to draw the sigils on the grime-caked windows. Protection. Or a delay at best. The silence in the hut was so thick I felt like I was drowning in it. The place was a wreck. Fireplace choked with soot, a table on its side like a dead animal. Cobwebs thick as shrouds. But there was another smell under the mildew and decay, something like burnt paper and old pennies. Wrong. It was coming from the floor. There was a spot right by the hearth that was cold. Not just cold, but a deep, sucking void of warmth. I knelt, my breath misting. Under a loose floorboard, tucked into a bed of what looked like dead gray flowers, was a bundle. A journal, maybe, wrapped in a piece of tanned, leathery skin. My stomach turned. My instincts screamed at me not to touch it, but how long can you survive without understanding why the world ended? My fear was old and worn out. My curiosity was sharp. I unwrapped it. The pages were brittle, the ink faded to a rusty brown. It wasn't ink. I knew the smell. The first line was a punch to the gut. If you're reading this, you survived the hush. I'm sorry. I devoured the words, my heart hammering against my ribs. It was all there, the lies the sun tells. The hollowness of the ground beneath my feet. The reason the stars went out. It was a list of rules, a catechism for this new, broken world. But it wasn't the rules that made the blood freeze in my veins. It was the handwriting. Halfway down the second page, after a warning about the bells and what they summon, the script changed. The neat, desperate scrawl grew jagged, aggressive. The ink looked darker, fresher. It looked wet. As my eyes traced the new lines, a voice whispered in the back of my skull. I am the question that has no answer. I am the silence in your heart. I tried to drop the journal, but the fucker stuck to my fingers, the skin-like cover clinging and warm. The words on the page began to swim, to rearrange themselves. For a split second, I saw my own name, Orla, etched between the lines before it was swallowed by the rust-colored chaos. That's when it called my name. Orla? It was my sister's voice. Carrie's. But Carrie's was gone. I watched her burn when the hush first fell. I watched her skin peel back like old wallpaper and her bones turn to black glass. Impossible. The journal's rules. My mind raced. Don't listen to the familiar voices. Count the crows. My eyes shot to the ceiling. Through a crack in the rotted timbers, I could see the roof, and sitting on the peak were 6 crows. 6 pairs of glittering black eyes staring down at me. The rule echoed in my head, a line from the journal. 6 crows for a voice you once knew. A sudden gust of wind, and 3 of them took flight, vanishing into the bruised sky with a shriek that sounded like tearing metal. 3 crows for a sister who can't see you. The whole shack shuddered then, a deep groan from the wood, like it was in pain. Then came the knocking. Not frantic, slow, deliberate. 3 solid thumps on the door. The flame in my lantern flickered, bending sideways toward the door as if the darkness was pulling it. The air got heavy, thick with the smell of wet soil and something sweet. Something rotten. A shadow passed under the door, stopping just shy of my salt line. The knocking started again, louder this time. A fist of thunder, hammering, hammering, hammering. Then it stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. It was heavy. It was waiting. I held my breath until my lungs burned. Something soft and wet slapped against the outside of the door. The wood bowed inward. A thin, black trickle of ooze seeped through a crack, sizzling as it hit the air. It wasn't my sister's voice anymore when it spoke. It was mine. A perfect, chilling copy of my own voice, whispering from the other side. "You read it, Orla," it said. "Now I can see you." The wind picked up again. But it wasn't screaming or howling. It was laughing. A high, thin sound that scraped at my nerves. The 3 remaining crows outside launched into the air, their wings beating a frantic tattoo on the roof that sent a shower of dust and splinters down on my head. And then I saw it, the salt line. My one real defense. It was turning black. The white crystal smoked and curdled, eaten away not from the outside, but from within. The thing hadn't crossed the line, it had poisoned it. The lantern flame didn't just go out, it was inhaled. Sucked into the darkness in a single, silent gasp. I clutched the journal, its pages now pulsing with a faint, sickening warmth, a sick heartbeat against my palm. I backed away, raising the rusty iron bar. The lock on the door clicked. Not from the outside, from the inside. If anyone else finds this, if there's anyone else left, don't trust the silence. It's not empty, it's waiting. And for God's sake, whatever you find, don't read the words. It's a trap. By the time they come for you, they're not just calling your name. They're using your own voice.